Connectivity on fixed wing, we're talking a lot about it, but what about connectivity on helicopters? Mike, Bell helicopters, and particularly as you're coming through with the Relentless, connectivity seems to be something you're focusing a lot on.
Absolutely, and we're focusing on it not because it's just good for Bell, but it's very good for our customers. It's good for economics, it's good for safety, it's the wave of the future.
So how does it actually work? What benefits are you getting from it?
Well, we monitor over 1,000 data points in the helicopter, and not all those have to be reported in flight, but we monitor all the 25 vibration sensors in the helicopter to show if there's any abnormal vibrations. We monitor the electric current of every circuit breaker because they're all electronic, so we can tell if something is pulling more power than it should. We monitor all the flight data performance from the pilot, how fast he's flying, what altitude, what his position is, how much nose up he is. We can tell all the stuff that the pilot's doing, all the fluid levels, transmission oil fluid, engine oil levels. We have probably over 1,000 data points we can transmit. Not that they all have to be transmitted in flight. Some of them can be downloaded on the deck because it's very expensive to transmit data in flight, and we have to know what makes the best sense for the customer.
So you have the data, and you've got thousands and thousands, it sounds like, data points coming through. But how do you actually translate that into something useful at the time?
Well, we compare it against all the other helicopters in the fleet, so we know what the standard is. We know what that circuit breaker, that system is supposed to be pulling. So unless it's pulling something abnormal, it doesn't report. So we only get the items in most cases that we really need to take a look at. And again, we don't transmit all those in flight. Some of the stuff is for historical data, and we can take that off on the ground.
Okay. And what about the helicopter itself? You've got so many component parts. How are you able to monitor those and track those where you're not actually on circuit breakers and things?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, we have what we call RFID chips on each component of the helicopter that has a serial number. The engineer can take a scanner and scan that chip on the ground, and he can tell when the component was put in the helicopter, how many flight hours it had then, where it came from, and also put notes in there like this is something we need to watch or whatever, so that everybody that looks at it later can read that same note on the RFID chip on the engine or helicopter component.
Now the 525, the Relentless, is proceeding through its paces now. That is really the connected helicopter, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, most of our helicopters, if not all, have HUMS, health usage monitoring systems, and they monitor vibrations. But the 525 takes it to the next level by being able to monitor thousands of things in the helicopter. And obviously the customer doesn't want thousands of things to look at, so we sell data sets. So in other words, the customer will be able to say, in flight data performance, we want to see these things. And we'll say, okay, that's a good idea. You may want to look at these other things also, but they'll be able to have like a menu to choose from. And we'll suggest things, and they may suggest things, because we want to hold their costs down, because it costs money to transmit this, especially over the internet.
Brilliant. Mike, thank you very much.